You ever wonder what it would be like to have absolutely everything you could ever want? I mean, wealth, power, all of it, but still feel like something's missing? Well, that's the paradox right at the heart of this ancient Buddhist teaching we're diving into today, the Sutra of Prince Virtuous Light. It's an incredible story about the search for meaning that feels just as urgent now as it did thousands of years ago. And it really boils down to this question, doesn't it? In a world that's just jam-packed with distractions, how do we find a life that feels truly purposeful? This ancient text, it doesn't just ask the question, it actually gives us a map, and it uses this amazing story to help guide us toward an answer. Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off on Vulture Peak, this legendary spot where the Buddha was known to give some of his deepest lessons. And it's here that a disciple, his name is Rashtrapala, he steps forward, and he isn't looking for some simple, easy answer. Nope, he's asking for the whole map, the entire path to enlightenment. Now, to really get his question, you gotta understand this word, bodhisattva. This isn't just someone looking for their own little slice of inner peace. A bodhisattva is someone who is completely dedicated to reaching enlightenment for the benefit of everybody. So what Rashtrapala is asking is huge. It's so compassionate. He's saying, how do I become supremely wise, not just for me, but so I can help every single other person find their way too? So how does the Buddha respond? Well, it's not with some vague philosophical riddle. Not at all. He offers a super practical guide. He lays out this clear set of principles. Think of it like a spiritual compass, pointing right to a pure and purposeful life. And the core of his teaching is this really clear contrast. It's like you have two paths. On one side, you've got the path of purity, acting with an equal heart for everyone, understanding how reality works, and living with total integrity. But on the other side, that's the path to downfall, and it's driven by all the stuff you'd expect. Arrogance, fakeness, and that constant need for personal gain. Which path you're on? Well, that changes everything. So this path to purity, it demands something pretty radical. It's about letting go. Letting go of our attachment to stuff, to places, and yeah, even to our own ego. But this isn't about just sitting back and doing nothing. It's an active, energetic pursuit of the Dharma, of truth, and it's fueled by a genuine, equal love for all beings with absolutely no deception. Of course, knowing where you're supposed to go is only half the battle, right? You also have to know which traps and dead ends to avoid. And the Buddha was crystal clear that this spiritual path is just littered with potential wrong turns, and they're usually driven by some, well, very familiar human habits. The Buddha points to the exact things that pull a seeker right off the path. Laziness, a lack of real belief, that ugly feeling of jealousy when someone else gets praise, surrounding yourself with negativity, and maybe the biggest one of all, letting your greed for status, for wealth, for compliments, letting that become what really motivates you. These are the chains that hold us back. Okay, so to make these big ideas really stick, to make them unforgettable, the Buddha does what all the best teachers do. He tells a story. He takes his listeners way back in time to share the epic tale of a prince who had literally everything the world could possibly offer. Let's just try to get our heads around the scale of this for a second. The prince's father wasn't just some king. No, he was the ruler of an entire world, with 20,000 great cities under his command. This isn't just being rich. This is an unimaginable empire of material stuff. And if that wasn't enough, get this. At the very moment the prince was born, 1,000 treasure troves magically burst from the ground. The story is making it so clear. Prince Virtuous Light had every pleasure, every comfort, every treasure you could dream of, right from day one. He wanted for nothing. But here's the incredible twist in the story, surrounded by what is, for all intents and purposes, a literal paradise on earth, a world built for perfect pleasure. The prince feels this deep, aching emptiness. He is miserable. And this clash between his perfect outer world and his empty inner world, well, that's what drives the whole story forward. His father, the king, is just completely mystified. He represents the way most of us think. If you have everything, you should be happy. You could just hear the humanity in his plea. It's the cry of a loving parent who just cannot understand why his son would turn his back on a life of perfect luxury. And the prince's answer? Wow. This is the heart of what a bodhisattva is all about. He sees that all these worldly desires are just a trap. But here's the key. His motivation isn't just to save himself. His heart is breaking for all the other people who are caught in that endless cycle of wanting something, getting it, and then just wanting more. His whole quest is driven by this powerful, all-encompassing compassion. And this leads to such a dramatic moment. A voice from the sky tells him about a Buddha, a truly enlightened being, out there in the world. For the prince, that's it. That's the sign he needed. He doesn't just pack a bag and walk out the door. No way. In this single, incredible act of faith, he leaps from his palace tower, giving up his entire world in an instant to move toward that light, toward that wisdom. So after telling this incredible, epic tale, the Buddha brings it all home with a stunning conclusion. He reveals one last detail that just connects everything we've just heard and gives it its true meaning. So, the question just hangs there in the air. Who was this amazing person, this Prince Virtuous Light, who had unimaginable riches and power, but chose to throw it all away in his search for truth? The Buddha turns to Rashtrapala and reveals that the prince in the story was him. He was telling a story about one of his own past lives. And that just changes everything, doesn't it? It turns the story from a nice little parable into a personal testimony. He's showing them, I've walked this exact same difficult path myself. And with that bombshell of a revelation, the Buddha connects the lesson from the deep past directly to the present moment, answering Rashtrapala's original question in the most powerful way you can imagine. And here it is, the final lesson. The Buddha's basically saying, look at the level of commitment this took. I gave up an entire world. So how can someone who's still chasing praise, who's attached to their comfort, who's motivated by greed, how can they ever hope to reach the same goal? He's directly comparing his own past actions with those exact pitfalls he warned them about at the very beginning. And that leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? The prince had to leave a literal palace of jewels. For us, our palaces are probably a bit more subtle. Maybe it's our attachment to being comfortable. Maybe it's our reputation, or our ideas of what success looks like. This ancient story invites us to ask ourselves, what gilded cage are we living in? And what would it take for us to find the courage to leap?